Recording. All right, race fans, we are back after a week hiatus here. My fault. I'll take credit for that one. I was in Las Vegas, so I didn't get to see a whole lot of racing the previous week, but we're back in action this week and got a lot of good stuff here. So we're going to get started. Episode 294, as always, your host Ryan Aho and my partners in crime. We got former track champion at the Proctor Speedway, multi-time national champion crew chief. We got Changa in the house. And of course, we have the former tear-off extraordinaire, editor of the Full Throttle magazine, Eastern Wisconsin's own Bert Lehman. How are you, kid? Sounds to me like both of you two kids are sick. You ain't been no hanky panky going on between you two, is there? I mean, I'm kind of all right. No,
No.
all right, all right.
No,
So
I got a cough yesterday, and then this afternoon my face started burning, but I had the chills, so I just checked my temperature. It's 100.5, so
you are kind of red there, Bert. It's kind of the glow off the shirt. I thought maybe you were just blushing because me and Changa were on here and you missed us. Wasn't really sure how that worked. So feel better. So everybody watching, hey, these two here, troopers. They're troopers. They're going to work sick. That's what they're doing. So glad to have you guys. So speaking of sick, right? If you go to the doctor, hope you have health insurance because going to the doctor is expensive. Well, if health insurance is too expensive, I have an alternative for you called Impact Health Sharing. And it has been absolutely unbelievable now. For about 4 or 5 years, I've been partnered up with this company sharing this product. If you have a pretty clean bill of health, no major medical in the last 3 years, this is probably going to be a good fit for you. So, Impact Health Sharing is an alternative to the rising costs of health insurance, traditional health insurance. You're looking for an average family, right? Three or more people, right around $650 a month with a $2,500 combined household deductible. You can go to any provider. It's been absolutely fantastic. Hit me up 218-969-1380 for a no obligation quote. I can shoot you a link over to the website. You can read the guidelines, learn about it to see if this is going to be a better fit for you. That's Impact Health Sharing, and feel free to reach out anytime you can. All right, so let's start with this, boys. Speed Weeks it's finally a wrap. It feels like it was a whole entire season all by itself, right? I mean, it was a long Speed Weeks, okay? But a lot of racing going on down there. And let's just break it down this way. Let's just each maybe give a handful of takeaways that we have, and I'll back clean up so that way I don't double up on anything you guys say, and then if let's say Bert has something and Changa wants to comment on it, feel free to comment on something he has if you want as well. But Bert, let's start with you. What if you had your top 3, 4, 5, whatever it may be, takeaways from 2026 Speed Weeks? And when I say Speed Weeks, we're talking national late model, right? I mean, don't get me wrong, there was mods and sprints and big block mods, and there was all that, right? But let's face it, Speed Weeks is late model, right? So what stuck out to you?
well, one thing is, it seems like Lucas Oil dirt late models, you hear a lot about them, and you didn't hear much about the World of Outlaw races. I don't know if that's because Lucas is on Flow and they do the drive home after and they do all this other stuff, or it's just because it's available on Flow and it's cheaper than getting Dirt Vision, so not as many people watch the World of Outlaws as they do the Lucas Oil series. So I thought that was one thing. It just seems like there's more news and rumblings regarding Lucas rather than World of Outlaws.
That's a good point, and correct me if I'm wrong, right? But isn't Flow less than half price of a Dirt Vision subscription?
Well, Flow is $150 a year.
And Dirt Vision's like 350, isn't it?
It's like $40 a month, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
lot. It's a lot more. So 40, that's 480. And I think you do get a break if you buy a year
Right.
at a time as
Right.
well. So you know what? I that's something I didn't think of. Changa, what's your thoughts on that? I mean, did you feel the same way? Was there more? banter on social media and all that for Lucas than there was for World of Outlaws?
Well, they do the two World of Outlaws races right away, the 2 weeks right away. And then it's been nothing but Lucas since then. But, there's some truth to it. I mean, like for the World of Outlaws portion of the deal, the majority of the what you would call hard hitter guys in Lucas are at the World of Outlaw races. And once they get to the Lucas portion, Gustin, Pierce, Hoffman, them guys, they go home and they haven't been there. So you haven't even heard about, Turbo State, obviously, and Dotson and a few others, but T Mac was at half of them maybe. But yeah, I mean, some of the things were really good with the way it was scheduled this year, that some of it worked out really good, especially with track conditions late in that deal. But um, God, it leaves a little something to be desired when half of them are you do everything right away and they're gone.
Well, let me ask you this. Wasn't Volusia for a little while, didn't it bookend it, right? Wasn't it the
Right.
initial race was the Sunshine Nationals and then the, dirt car summer nationals or whatever they call it down there, the World of Outlaw portion at Volusia. Wasn't that the final? That was after Golden Isles and everything, wasn't it, for a little while? It kind of bookended the whole deal.
I mean, that could be. I know Golden Isles moved way back in the schedule,
They
which,
did.
we'll talk about
Hmm.
that. Did some good for them, I think.
Absolutely. And there's no more break, right? So now you essentially they were at Golden Isles this past weekend and bam, we're back into the World of Outlaw schedule this week already. So you don't have that kind of 3 week or 3 week, it seemed like, layoff there in between speed weeks and then, the regular season in March. So that's kind of changed too. So that's a good takeaway there, Bert. That might be part of it. And did the drive home guys, and I got to be honest, I didn't watch much of that this year. I usually
I
do.
didn't either, but I did see they did it this year again.
Yeah,
Oh,
I was wondering if they talked. Did they do it after Volusia too,
yeah,
or was
they did. Yep.
okay? Not after the first Volusia though. They didn't do it after the Sunshine Nationals. They weren't all down there for that.
I don't know that if that's even true. I remember watching them on and
Yeah,
off.
they. I know they started later. They didn't. They weren't at the first one for sure. So what else you got, Bert? So that's a good takeaway. What else you got?
Well, everybody was ready to dig a grave and put RTJ in there. And have you guys looked at the point standings? And everybody was saying Bishop is back. Have you looked at the point standings?
Isn't
Uh,
RTJ like 150 points out of first?
Yeah.
165. He's in fifth
Yeah,
place, but he's ahead of
yeah.
Bishop, and everybody was saying Bishop was, having such a great speed weeks. And
Did you see? Did you see? Well, name off the top five. Do you have it in front of you there?
it's Huddy, Moran. I th- um I can't
Overton
remember,
third,
third or fourth,
Harris
yeah,
fourth. Clay
and
Yeah,
Harris
then
is
Clay
fourth.
then
Harris.
RTJ.
Clay Harris in the top five ahead of
Yeah,
RTJ. We'll talk about that
yeah.
in a minute.
It's
So
still early though. There's a
R
lot of racing to
RTJ,
go.
do you know how many wins RTJ had at Speed Weeks?
0.
Zero, yeah.
How about Chonga's boyfriend? How many did he have?
1.
One. Oh, now you admit it. Now you're going. Now we don't have to argue this anymore. Now, okay,
I mean,
now, okay.
it's pointless, right?
Yeah, one win for Pierce,
Of course,
zero
he
for
was only there
RTJ.
for no, he wasn't there for 9 or 10 of the races that
Wow.
RTJ was at.
He
That
was
that's
there
be,
for several though.
He
that's
was only
because
there for the World of Outlaws, not one of the Lucas races.
that's because he's getting ready for a wedding in the next month.
Definitely. Yep.
Yeah, he's a cuddler for sure. Yeah, for sure. Anything
Good
else,
thing
Bert?
that
That
makes
you
you fast.
I'll just do one more.
okay?
I mean, he got he kind of made a name for himself last year when he won a race, but Trey Mills, I mean, he deserved to win that last race. So he just made a mistake, got up into the wall late in that race, but he definitely had the best car in that last race.
I mean, last year we watched him. It was a Hell Tour race, wasn't it, at Macon that he held
Hmm.
off Sheppy? And yeah, he was. It's like holy cow, great race he had there on that little fifth mile. But that was unbelievable. Who was he battling with? Was it Huddy? Right? Him and Huddy were
Huddy, yeah.
swapping. Yeah, and
He was
Huddy
going
got.
to drive away from Huddy. I mean, they battled a little bit, and then he pulled, 5 car lengths ahead of him,
Yeah,
and then hit the wall. And Rest
Yeah,
is
they threw sliders at each other for about 3 laps in a row.
Yep.
But I think Bert, I think you're right. I think he did have the better car. He was absolutely lights out fast. Should we expect to see him sneak a win in before the end of the year?
I don't know if he's going to get a win on either of the national tours, but if he follows the Hell Tour, I would expect him to get
I
at
would
least a
think he's probably
couple,
going to do
he's
that,
already
right?
at least a
signed
couple
on.
wins.
So he's signed on as a full-time World of Outlaws guy this year.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Yep.
And that doesn't, we know how that all starts out. I mean, that
Right.
may or may not
Right.
continue through the rest of the year.
Granted, him of all people, they've got buku bucks behind him. I mean, he could. I heard that he's got 2 new cars and another one coming like in 2 days. So I
Well,
mean,
he's going to need a new car because I don't know that one. I think got bent up pretty good. I mean,
that
it's too
one's going to the boneyard.
it's
Right.
too bad that Huddy had. I mean, Huddy had nowhere to go. I mean, but it's too bad that the wreck was worse than just him hitting the wall.
Well, and that's
Correct.
something there too. I mean, he tore the air cleaner right off of Huddy's car. I mean, they showed the picture of it. It's like sitting on there all cock-ass wobbly. But lucky for Moran and RTJ and all them guys that happened, because he'd have had
Yeah.
about a 60 more points onto his lead.
Yeah, 100%. Changa, how about you? What are your takeaways from 2026 Speed Weeks?
You threw a little bit of a curveball at me. So I guess the first thing, I really enjoyed the Golden Isles portion of it. They're at the very tail end. They're moving that back to March with the weather. I guess the first takeaway I had is I turned the TV on the first night and I'm like, oh my goodness gracious, that racetrack is so red clay. I mean, when do you ever see red clay like that in Georgia or Florida? I mean, I don't know where they got it from, and I tell you what, it had traction in it for 4 days, and they even had a little bit of a curb the last night there at that Trey Mills found. But the racing was really good. I mean, it's late model racing. It's still not easy as wide as that track was to be able to drive by someone, but it was slider heaven. I mean, it was entertaining as heck to watch. And I really, they had, one or two, they had 2 classes, maybe 3 one of the nights. I think they had 604s and Crown Vics the one night. But I mean, every single night I could turn it on when I got home from work, and by like 8, the latest night was like 8:40 and it was over and I could be done with it for the night. It was pretty neat. I mean, it was a quick program. They pushed through it really nicely. So I really enjoyed that part of it.
Yeah, Golden Isles, I mean, that place needs a top. I mean, late model racing in general needs a top side, and they had a top side pretty much every night. I mean, it was the last night was good, but I mean, JD was the dominant car, right? I mean, so let me ask you guys this. JD, here's a question for you guys. So JD breaks Bloomer's Lucas Oil win record. I don't remember what the numbers were, but he essentially, yeah, something like that, one ahead. Okay.
Yeah, it was 94. Now he's got 95, I believe.
Bert, as a fan of racing, should those split feature nights, right? Should those count?
No,
And they're counting them, right?
I
Now,
know.
and it's
Lucas
sad.
Oil counts them.
I don't think World of Outlaws does. I don't think they count them, but I think Lucas for sure counts them. So I saw a lot of banter saying this is a bunch of BS, and let's face it, I don't know how many of those split features. I'm probably going to say 4 or 5 of them, maybe something like that. Yeah, I would say that I want to see JD break the record without the split, right? We got to quit celebrating these Dolly Parton, glorified heat race qualifying feature. It's not a thing, right? They got to quit. They got to quit that. But JD was good. I mean, how many times have we seen it, right? JD goes down to Arizona, right? We've seen this story before. Wild West shootout fast. He goes to Speed Weeks, and it's like, oh my God, JD terrible at Speed Weeks. This might be one of the best Speed Weeks he's had. He was good, especially at Golden Isles, winning 3 in a row, and then of course DNF'd on the 4th night. But
well, it didn't start out very good for him.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But let me ask you this: so JD's going to run a independent schedule too. He's not following the points, right? So
the true outlaw schedule.
correct. But so JD is a guy that really doesn't have to worry about provisionals, right? I mean, I get it. Everybody's got a night where something happens. It is what it is, right? But for the most part, he's got the speed. He's going to be in the hunt no matter where he goes. How much of a advantage does this give JD at the big money shows, right? When he doesn't even have to remotely think about point racing, he can just go race to win. Is that an advantage? Yes or no?
I think so. I mean, anything, you know, I'm a Proctor Pure Stock point champion, and I lost a couple features point racing. I mean, a couple of races I lost by a foot because I just big picture race, and when you're not big picture racing, you can race a little different. You can ruffle some feathers because you're not following them guys up and down the road every single race all season long. And hell, if I DNF, Whoopi, it don't kill my points championship chances. And but so yeah, you can kind of race how you want to, and not worry about who you piss off when you're doing the pick and choose thing.
Yeah, I agree. I agree totally. So, anything else there, Changa, that stuck out to you?
Yeah, well, and I'm going to go the opposite of what Bert said. RTJ pretty much a non-factor all of speed weeks. I mean, yeah, he had a podium and a top five or something, but that's not the RTJ we expect. I mean, RTJ unloads his car for a dozen or 15 nights. You'd expect him to get a couple of wins and a good handful of podiums, and he's just missing something. He's not there. He's not the RTJ we expect. Um, you know, he qualified really well here this last week. Started on the front row every night. Didn't win one freaking heat race. He got past every single one of them. Right? Started on the pole, finished fifth in one of them. I mean, fourth in one of them. I mean, so yeah, he's definitely missing something. Um, but like we talked about, thank God for the throwout shows, or he'd be sitting 400 points behind right now.
Well, 100%. He's already what did you say, Bert? 165? So
Yeah.
165 is a bunch. That's a pretty big amount of points when especially sitting in fifth. He doesn't just have to gain on one person. He's got to gain on a bunch, right? I would expect him to pass Clay Harris. Nothing against Clay Harris, but I would expect RTJ to pass him. But when you give Moran and Huddy that big of a lead, boy, oh boy, I mean, you got to be dang near perfect, and you got to hope they have a little bit of bad luck and let it balance out. So that's going to make things pretty interesting on the early part of the season here. We'll see what that looks like midway through. Anything else you got?
Well, just just touch on some of the guys that did put on some, guys you don't expect. Like Max Blair might have passed, I don't know, freaking 80 cars in the last couple weeks here. I mean, that guy's come from the 20s to the top five a handful of times here recently. Really showed some pretty decent speed. And God, I don't know why he's starting way back there. That's a problem he's going to have to figure out. But he's had good speed and he's passed a whole lot of cars. Clay Harris, the same thing. I think that last night down there at Golden Isles, he was being put a lap down, and caution comes out. He goes to the pits, changes tires or something. Next thing you know, there he is in the top five again. What the hell's going on, right? But and then Trey Mills and a couple other guys that you don't expect to be up in the hunt. It was fun to see some different faces up there as well. And then
Well,
one
yeah.
other thing. Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say Blair had to take an emergency provisional the final night. So if he would have won that race, he wouldn't have got $25,000 because they would what is it? They subtract the the minimum. I
Yeah,
don't know.
whatever. Yeah, whatever your amount. He might have got the full 25 because you have to get to a certain position, and then it's the difference. So if you add up the emergence, yeah, he might have got like 1,500, a couple grand less, maybe. It still would have been a
Yeah.
nice payday, but
Oh yeah,
he would
yeah,
he would he had the lead, right?
Yeah.
So he came from dead last emergency provisional to the lead, and then who ended up winning that one? Oh,
Moran won from
Brand.
yeah,
22nd.
yeah, Moran won from deep. So a little bit of help with some attrition, but
Yeah.
I mean, that's a testament to the racetrack. I mean, you have two drivers come from deep in the field, 11th row and further back to finish first and second. It's a good racetrack right there. They did a hell of a job at Golden Isles. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Well, I mean, I guess it's not necessarily, it wasn't exactly on your list of things, but I know this whole Speed Week thing's about late models, but my God, I'm getting sick of watching the same group of guys for 3 weeks in a row, 4 days a week. I mean, I'd like to see more sprint cars. I'd like to see more modifieds. I mean, high limits. Why isn't there a high limit race somewhere in there just to break it up and give us a little variety?
Well, you know you're not going to have a high limit race at Volusia.
No,
That
but
ain't going to be
somewhere
it.
down
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah. And they start West Coast, right? They're starting this week at Vegas. But speaking of that, is there just too much Volusia? And I get it. World Racing Group owns Volusia, and that's kind of their deal. Is there just too much Volusia? Because I mean, you get to see it all there. World of Outlaws sprints, big block mods, 604, 602s. You get to see the UMP modifieds, right? You get to see the dirt car late models, the World of
Yeah.
Outlaw
Oh,
late
but
models,
great.
and it's like, good grief. There's like, I mean, it's just way, way, way too much. And when you look at Dirt Vision, it's like, and I get it. World Racing Group owns Dirt Vision. They own Volusia. They own World of Outlaws. They own Dirt Car. I get it. That's their deal. That's kind of their moneymaker. But I mean, I'm glad they added Hendry County
Right.
because that ended up being pretty decent racing overall. And there's word, and this isn't official, but there's word that could actually be the start of Speed Weeks next year because it's further south. That'd probably be a pretty good thing, especially if that maybe brought a couple Lucas drivers down there along
Absolutely.
with it. That'd be fantastic. But could we see a World Racing Group maybe inking a deal, right, with the Hunt the Front boys that now own Southern Raceway in Milton, Florida? Could they maybe add a weekend in there or 3, 4 races and go to Southern Raceway? Joseph Joyner came from deep in the field in like 24th or whatever.
Yeah.
Did he win or get second
He
in that
got
deal?
second. He was
Yeah.
started. I got it in my notes here. 25th to second.
Yeah. So, I mean, you look at that, it's like World of Outlaws I think World of Outlaws needs another track down there because, like you said, it's Lucas at Golden Isles, Alltech, Ocala. Um, I don't remember where else they were at. Maybe that might be it.
That's
Yeah, and then was Scraven had Hunt the Front, right? There was something on there was Hunt the Front, but
yeah.
then
I think that got canceled one of the nights.
they yeah weather came in, so they had one race, but they didn't have points or whatever. But is there a chance that Southern Raceway with them boys is going to be part of the actual speed weeks for 2027? Could we see that happening?
I think so. I mean, and here's another thing, and I don't know that it's even a possibility, but is it something where you could co-sanction it with Hunt the Front and with World of Outlaws or something like that?
100%. And bigger surprise for you guys. Bert, I'll start with you. RTJ and Pierce just kind of not being all that good, right? Just kind of not having
Oh
a great
no,
speed weeks, or
Bobby Hughes has 4 straight podiums to end Speed Weeks with a win.
one win in speed weeks, one
Well,
win,
only raced like 8 nights.
one. If Bobby Pierce should win more than one if he runs 8 nights.
Maybe RTJ should win more than 0 if he races
Well,
20.
1000% agree. Okay. So Bobby Pierce, RTJ for the last couple of years have been 1A, 1B in dirt late model racing. And if you said combined they had 20 races, probably more than that, because RTJ had more, right? And they had one win combined between the two of them. Come on, that's
And one win in like maybe what 5 podiums?
yeah. So like they don't care about podiums, they want wins, right? So let's just face it, everything's ranked top win.
Hughes had one win last year at Speed Week too, and he raced
Yeah,
more races.
yeah. So not that he's not going to win races, but he also won more races in Arizona or at Vado last year. He won one at Central Arizona. So what's more surprising to you? Their kind of ineffectiveness as far as trying to win races, or kind of a little bit of a resurgence for Sheppy and Brandon Overton?
I think that's more of an shock to me, as I didn't see Overton making that big of a drastic improvement just by dumping your all-world crew chief and leaving the Longhorn house car. I mean, he's been fast every night, even the nights where he hasn't finished on the podium or even in the top five. He's had speed. Sheppy's just had, quite honestly, he's had speed too, but he's had a lot of bad luck. I mean, he had like 3 or 4 tires that go flat down him running in the top five. I mean, he ain't had any luck really.
Right. Bert?
I would say the ineffectiveness of RTJ and Pierce, just because, like you said, I mean, podiums aren't what they're going for wins, and I mean, I'd have to look back at previous years, but it seems like RTJ kind of struggles during speed weeks. Um, not this bad, not as bad as he did this year, though. But he usually gets off to kind of a slow start. Well, that was when they were racing at East Bay. We always said, RTJ can't wait to get out of to leave East Bay because he never did very well at East Bay.
And
Um,
RTJ, like you said, with last year starting when there's no more East Bay or whatever, he won 2 or 3 down there last year.
Yeah, not at East Bay. I think he won at
No, but
Ocala and
at other
Alltech,
places,
and
right?
yeah,
Right.
yeah, yep, for sure.
Well,
So
and part of the reason I say that too is because we know that Bishop can run good. We know that something missing in their program. So I mean, you can make a case for either one, but I'll go with RTJ and Pierce not getting the wins that you'd expect.
Ryan, were you getting the robot voice out of him there for a minute?
I was. Bert must have had a text message come in or whatever.
No,
Yeah.
they didn't.
No, no.
Um,
Okay. But we
okay.
got the gist of what you're saying there. So let's jump into how about a shout out here to our friend Brad Parsons Soil and Egg Solutions. So they're getting some snow over there in North Dakota, much needed. They need the moisture over there. They could probably take some from Uper and transition it that way because they need some. But if you're in farming, northwestern Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, really anywhere, because he can hook you up too. But farming season is coming, planting season is coming. We know crop prices are absolutely awful, right? The farmers took a bath last year financially, not a good deal. Well, the one thing that you can maybe control is what you're putting into those spray packages, the products that you're using to get better yields. You can't control Mother Nature. That's not a thing, but you can control what you're using to get better results. And why not give Brad a call at 320-219-3542 to learn about all the great proven products that they have to give you better results in your farming endeavors to help you be more profitable in 2026. So let's just jump over into a little bit of sprint car racing. Probably the biggest news of the week by far, without question. After a 510-day hiatus from Victory Lane, I was confident that he literally forgot where it was. How about it for the Minot Missile, former Minot Missile, right? Donnie Schatz finding pay dirt there. That's a big win. Should we expect to see more of that?
Well, you know my answer. Anything's possible.
Anything is possible.
Just
Yes.
totally
Well,
waiting just to hear that.
I just want to say, I mean, sprint car racing is better when Donnie Schatz is finding victory lane. It just is. You hate to see one of the all-time greats struggle at the end of their career. How many times have we seen that with different racers?
Right.
When they struggle I mean, in NASCAR, Darrell Waltrip. I mean, he was just a field filler for at the end of his career. So it's good to see Shots back in victory lane, and I hope that he wins more races this year. Like I said, sprint car racing is better when he finds victory lane.
1,000% Mount Rushmore of sprint car racing. It's not even a conversation. So that's a given. But Donnie Schatz is somebody that, let's face it, over the last couple of years, we kind of wrote him off. He didn't win a race last year. It's Donnie Schatz, 10-time champ, right? He didn't win a race. Career's over. Well, not so fast. Now, would I expect him to go win 15 this year? Probably not. Would it be cool? It'd be really cool. I'd love to see it. If he could get 5, that'd be great, though. I think if he could get 5,
Oh yeah,
I think he'd be pumped with that. So,
yeah.
Changa, any thoughts there on Donnie Schatz? Kind of a dominating win. Didn't really get challenged too much either.
Well, that was the one race of all of Speed Weeks that I did not get to see. I woke up. I was not feeling well. I was laying in bed. I had a bad headache. I just closed my eyes for a minute. I wake up to the text message that Donald T. Schatz tackled the sheep and brought her to victory lane, right? Are you kidding me? Like that really happened. But seriously, I mean, I don't expect to see him win 5. I don't expect to see him win 3. But if he could get back to that level, I mean, just speaking just for us, our group of people on our whole One to Go show pick'ems contest, if there's more than just Gravel, Macedo, and Fofoid to pick from, boy, it's a lot more interesting, isn't it? If he's relevant, and like you talk about this ad nauseum, right? Donnie Schatz, the night that he won there, qualified second, won his heat, won the dash, won the feature. Well, like you always say, he always has a good car in the feature, right? And he always goes forward in the feature. If he could just start somewhere, in the same area code as Gravel and them guys, maybe he could be in contention once in a while.
Correct. And that's the thing. And he in an interview kind of alluded to that. Like he said, I got to qualify better. Because I mean, you cannot start 20th every single night and expect to be on the podium. That's just not a thing. Not at that level, right? And he proved it right there. You get a good qualifying run in, you go out, he won the dash, he started on the pole. Next thing you know, it's like you put Donnie Schatz in the pole, he's gonna be tough to beat. Period. Right. So congratulations to him. Hopefully there's more to come. A guy that a lot of people talked about, Pennsylvania Posse guy that come down, made his mark. Anthony Macri was literally 2 points out of first, and he's like, I'm not following the World of Outlaw series. He's a PA Posse guy, gonna run. They got that series up there. They're gonna do it. Sounds like he's gonna do that. See how that goes. But Macri was good. I mean, he was somebody that was lights out down there when he was down at Volusia. So there was almost some news. I had somebody text me and say, "Hey, what do you think about Brad Sweet? What he's doing?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Well, there was a little rumor going around that the so he bought that NARC 410 sprint car series out there on the West Coast, and some of them tracks out there run World of Outlaw races as well. And there was a rumor going around by Chaz saying that, hey, they're taking away NARC races if they have WU races. Well, after a little research, turns out that was fake news. So that was all propaganda. But Brad Sweet, I think did he get 1 win or 2 wins in that NARC deal out there?
I think he won 1. I think he maybe only ran the 1, but he did win.
Okay. Yeah, 1 race, 1 win. You talk about, Bobby Pierce only raced 6-8 shows. Well, I don't know. I mean,
come on now. Sweet was over in Australia. He couldn't even win in Australia.
Brad Sweet's retired. He literally retired, and he was 1-for-1. So I don't really know what to tell you. So, all right. High limit starting this week in Vegas. Pretty excited about that. So, how about this? Let's jump into our next segment here. But shout out. So if you're a coffee drinker or matcha, quite honestly, I had no idea what matcha is. It's a kind of a green tea, right? If you're looking for a healthy alternative, right? Supplements that taste like coffee, essentially what it is. Things to help you with gut health, mental clarity, weight loss, blood sugar numbers, joint pain, sleeping better at night, you name it. Well, I partnered up with a company here, Agara Cafe, and it's the #1 functional coffee company out there right now. I mean, it's absolutely been, kind of sweeping the nation, and I have a lot of people drinking it. Great results, great taste, great group of people. So if you're interested in learning more about, our functional coffee, functional green tea that we have, feel free to hit me up. I'll get you some to try. If you want to buy some, I'll get you some. And if you want to learn a little bit more about it, I can send you some information there as well. Bert?
Is that the one made with mushrooms?
There is one mushroom in there. Yeah, lion's mane mushroom is one of the products that's in there.
Yep. I saw some coffee in my Facebook feed, and I believe it was a mushroom coffee. And they're saying it's supposed to help you lose weight and stuff like that.
Yep. So some of them are just straight, like multiple types of mushrooms. There's one mushroom in this. It's the lion's mane mushroom.
Okay.
But the fact is, there's other stuff, saffron, berberine. There's all kinds of it. I haven't been a model of health my whole life. I'm a truck driver, right? I'm fast food, poor decisions. That's why my blood sugar numbers are up, right? And
it'll get you in trouble. Trust me.
It definitely will. So if you're getting a little bit more health conscious and you're looking for a healthier solution, I might have it for you. Feel free to 218-969-1380. Hit me up on Facebook. I'll get you some information. Bert, a race that you frequent more years than not, a race that you've been going to, World 100.
Oh,
Finally,
yes.
have they ever had a six-figure payday before?
Not for they increase it $1,000 every year.
Yeah,
That's just
so
because it started at my understanding is it started at $4,000 back in the '70s, and then Earl increased it by $1,000 every year to win, and I think it's only like 50 some thousand right
Yeah, it
now
was
or
like
something.
54, I think, this
Yeah,
last year. Or I don't know, 50 something.
yeah, it's 50,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
50
And what
something
is it now?
million.
Is it a straight 100 grand to win, Chonga? Is that what it is
Yeah.
now?
Yeah, I've got the literature here if you want to hear about it.
Yeah, because I know at Eldora they're actually up in the ante for a few different races, but
Yeah,
the
yeah.
World 100 is the big one.
So they're doing it for all their big races, the Dream, the King's Royal, and the World 100. But the World 100's taking the big jump. They're um, increases to every A main position. 100,000 to win, 5,600 to start. Increases to all B main positions. First non-transfers in each now earn 3,000. Start money is increased to 1,000 in those races. Increases to all the non-transfers out of the heat races. They're going to continue doing the $1,000 increments of upping it every year. Then there's like an additional $50,000 going to be awarded through their bonus programs for something called the last lap matters points and top rookies and hard chargers. So they got a whole bunch of extra going into that purse for sure.
So the question is, and I'm all about more money being paid out to the racers. That's fantastic. It costs a lot of money to race. But this is a race that has never needed that. The grandstands is jam packed, right? The what do they get? 110, 120 cars, right?
I
They were
don't know if they
turning
get.
people away last year. They
Is
were
it
turning
under? Was it
fans.
under 100?
I'm not sure what it was. I mean, yeah, last year it was sold out. I mean, you couldn't get a spectator ticket in the grandstand last year. It was sold out. Um, I mean, there's two ways to look at this. To get the top drivers there, to get the fans there, no, you don't need to add anything to the purse. I mean, they're still going to be there. I mean, we've all seen the interviews with drivers where they ask them, would you rather win the Dream where you win what, $125,000, or would you rather win the World 100 where you win 53 or whatever? And the answer is always the World 100. There's just so much prestige with that race. But I think the lower tier drivers have there aren't as many of the lower tier drivers who come to that race anymore just because they know all the big names are going to be there. Now, increasing the payout for the Bs and that sort of non-qualifiers, that may get some of those drivers to come back.
It's a good point.
Absolutely. Yeah. So tip of the cap
Because
right there to
I mean,
Tony
I think
because doesn't have to.
right. I mean, I think when I started going to the World 100 back in the early 2000s, or maybe it was late 1990s, I mean, they would get more than 120 cars there because only the top 20 would qualify for the heat races on Saturday night. Then because that's when it would Friday night was just time trials, and so if you didn't qualify in the top 120, then you got the race in a non-qualifier race on Friday night, and that was your whole weekend. Then you went home.
I do got to say this. I don't want to fire shots across the bow, but I will, because that's just kind of fun sometimes. It sure would be nice if the premier event in our area with our sanctioning body would be looking at that going, huh, maybe we should do something to up the purse at this deal too, right? The Wissota 100, all they keep doing is adding more fees and parking fees and this and that.
More nights.
More nights that start on Tuesday, right? Um, it's just crazy to me, right? Tony Stewart gets it. These teams spend a lot of money. We don't need to, right? We're going to get all the cars anyway. The place is jam packed, but we're going to up the ante and pay more money. Well, What came first, the chicken or the egg? Grandstands are empty at the Wissota 100, flat empty. There ain't nobody there. Saturday night was good, but the weekday shows, there ain't nobody there, right? Used to be back in the day, but it's just not a thing anymore. Well, if they doubled the car count by increasing the pay, would they get more fans? Probably. So it's just unfortunate that I just don't see that happening in our lifetime.
If the Wissota 100 moved back to Cedar Lake, would they fill the stands?
No.
No.
No. See, the grandstand, the grandstands are more empty at the legendary 100 than they are at the Wissota 100.
Yeah, I
And
understand that. There's
and you
less
and you
stuff.
got and you have to remember too, in the state of Wisconsin, what is there? 4 Wissota tracks? Wissota's not strong in Wisconsin anymore. It's stronger over on that side of Minnesota. So I think the days of the Wissota 100, it's just kind of gotten off the rails. I don't know if we'll ever get it back. Bert, speaking of Eastern Wisconsin, though, you shot me a message and you're kind of hopeful maybe you're going to see Littlehammer make a trip over there.
Yeah.
But I think he's going to be focusing on the Wissota late model, trying to get the Rookie of the Year. But they did announce they're having a show over there, and I do have a question. So why don't you talk a little bit about what's coming to Shawano? What are they actually bringing over there one night this year?
Well, this past week, Shano announced that they will have USRA late models racing at Shano Speedway on May 9th. So, I mean, I think it's a good move, especially now since um, late models in eastern Wisconsin do not race at Shawano Speedway on a weekly basis anymore. They don't race at any track on a weekly basis anymore in eastern Wisconsin. So I think it's good to bring in the USRA late models to add something to that show. I think Shawano is bringing in IMCA street stocks a few times this year, like they did last year. So, losing the late models, they kind of have to add a division here and there, kind of just create a little bit more excitement, I think. And I think it's good that they're doing that.
I got a question for you. So they had the fast track over there for a little while. Didn't
Yeah.
AJ Demo win a big points championship in that 50 grand or something?
Yes.
Let's face it, late model racing in eastern Wisconsin's kind of in a tough spot. Now they've done a really good job in the off season to kind of maybe revamp that, work together, and maybe kind of liven it back up again. Hopefully that works, right? But let's face it, right? A late model in general is a very expensive race car. There's not a question
Yeah.
about it. The 604 deal, right? If you go down to the southeast, you go down to Florida and Georgia and Tennessee, their top late model weekly classes, that's a 604 late model. That's what they run. That's their top class. Okay. Could we see a world if things don't work out quite like they hope to where everybody in eastern Wisconsin just switches to the 604s? Could that save late model racing in eastern Wisconsin?
Well, I don't think it was possible for that prior to this, because I think there were too many drivers who raced the regular late models. I mean, I don't see Nick Avalink switching to a USRA late model, or a limited type late model. Some of the drivers I don't, but how many more years is Nick going to race? How many years is Troy Springborn going to race yet? I think as those drivers retire, there might be a chance where you can introduce, a limited late model. And I've heard a lot of drivers say, I'd love to try racing a late model, but they're too expensive. Now, I don't know what the cost difference is between a USRA late model and a Wissota style type late model.
A lot.
Okay. So, so I mean, yeah, I think it's possible that some drivers who it's always been their dream to race a late model would go to that division if it were introduced.
And you have the two options, right? You got so Don Shaw is kind of responsible in Wissota country, to the best of my knowledge, I think, Don, for kind of bringing in that 525 deal and kind of I think he was kind of one of the first ones to start spearheading that deal. And I know Pat Capella's got, he had several drivers in 525s too, but I think Shaw kind of got that started. And let's face it, Don Shaw doesn't have a money issue. He's got plenty of money. He's done very well business wise, but he also understands that, hey, I have a racetrack and I need more cars and I need it to be more affordable. So he's really kind of pushed that 525 deal. Maybe that would be an alternative. The thing I don't like about the 525 is you can't go anywhere else in the country, and nobody else from any other parts of the country can come here, right? So that the 604 just makes more sense because it's more uniform. Like if you want to go winter racing, you can go down to Florida or whatever. Or if some of those drivers are like, hey, there's some pretty cool shows up north, we're going to bring our 604s up there, that would make sense. Right now, we just don't have that. Eastern Wisconsin's got their own deal. Wissota doesn't have that. So I don't know. I think that we're not real far away from major things having to happen in order to save the sport, because car counts they're not increasing in most cases. They're just not. I mean, fan counts are also not, and that's kind of corresponds with drivers. If you only have 60 drivers at a racetrack, well, they all bring X amount of people. You only have so many fans, but if you have double that, now your fan count's higher. Kind of works together.
And I mean, you can call this me being pessimistic, but it would not shock me at all if 5 years from now there is no late model racing in Eastern Wisconsin, unless they go to a limited type late model.
That's what I'm saying, right? That's what I'm saying. So if you're a late model driver in Eastern Wisconsin and you kind of think, and I get it, there's a lot of egos involved, right? When I was racing, I'm like, I don't want no stupid crate. Are you kidding me? I want to have a big thunder underneath the hood. I don't want a crate, right? Well, Kenny Schrader said it best, and he's raced everything, right? He's raced literally everything there is to race.
Well, didn't he race Crown Vic this last weekend?
I think he did. Yes. Yeah. So Schrader said, the fans in this, if it's a good race, it's a good race. Why on earth would somebody be upset about spending a third on their engine program for the same amount of money? Why would that bother them? Because I'll be honest, right? A good portion of the drivers would be faster with a crate than they are with their current motors. It just is what it is. And that ain't a knock on anybody, but they're easier to drive, plain and simple. And you look at Wissota, right? With the 525 deal, Dave Moss, good race car driver, won the Challenge Series 525. Best driver in the range area, right? Hibbing, Rapids, Twin Ports. Kyle Peterlin has been really good, 525, right? So that crate deal, there's something to it, but there's also egos involved. So, but if you're a racer in Eastern Wisconsin, maybe that's a conversation that needs to be had, right? Because most of those drivers don't race a lot of open stuff. Maybe they'd be better off switching to kind of keep the sport going. Speaking of Wissota, I kind of quiet. I was looking on Facebook, and I mean, I haven't seen much as far as schedules dropping and all that. I mean, tracks have posted schedules, but really, really, it's like really quiet, right? In the Wissota front. I don't know what to think about that, right? It's,
I mean, they fired everybody that could make the noise. I mean, there ain't nobody left.
Oh, there's still a couple people there. They did get rid of part of the social media staff, but I mean, I haven't seen any promotion on their sponsors. I don't know if they got any new sponsors, and if they did, they sure the hell haven't talked about them on social media. They've had a couple little posts out here, but they're not promoting, hey, here's all the upcoming schedules. Just very inactive. And man, in today's world, you just gotta, there's just not a lot of buzz going on. So it's really interesting to me. Yeah, so I don't know what to think about that. I'm going to look at my notes here. I got a question for you guys.
Discontent with them just so we can get some news.
100%. Well, okay. Wissota, get off your asses and get some shit on social media here. What are we doing, right? I mean, yeah, it needs to happen. Well, speaking of social media, I mean, there's been a lot of buzz, and And again, I don't want to beat on a guy or whatever. And we all know what happened last year with, a few of the XR races or whatever. Well, guys, it turns out this ain't just him. Now, when it happened to him, he gets absolutely land blasted all across the board, probably because it happened a few times or whatever. But see what happened at Screven? 25 grand to win for a short tracker deal. Bounced the check twice. Ouch, right? Did you guys hear about Bristol?
No.
I believe it was
No.
100 grand to win demo derby at Bristol. Winner never got paid. Winner never got paid. So this ain't just a one person deal, right? It happens across. It's unfortunate,
Well,
it happens across the board. But man, one person does it, and it's like, oh man. But yeah, I raced a race, guys, and won a feature, didn't get paid. I got a letter in the mail. Sorry, we filed bankruptcy. We're not paying the purse for this race. It's happened to me. Now it wasn't 25,000 or 100 grand or whatever, but I've heard of. Go ahead.
it's almost coming to the point where a promoter is going to have a special account, and the money is going to have to be placed in that account prior to the race, so the drivers can see that the money's in that account, and the owner can have.
Never happened.
Well, I know,
Never.
but
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that comment on there. It's like, and I didn't want to comment on there and give that person any more buzz, but that just can't happen because most tracks
Racetracks don't have any money.
yeah, they take the money in, right? You get your ticket money to get in the front gate, the back gate, the concession, the beer money, right? And then hopefully you had enough to pay the purse that night, and maybe hopefully have a little bit left over. It's not a very profitable business venture, dirt track racing in general. Very very few racetracks could have an escrow account where they have the purse already set aside. That just wouldn't. It's not a thing 99% of the time. But in my several years of racing, I've heard multiple stories across the board of bounce checks from tracks and this and that. It's not uncommon. It's not like this is a new phenomenon. This has been going on for a long time.
I mean, I talked about this on the show when it happened, but it was probably 3-4 years ago. It was an asphalt race at the track in Marshfield. It wasn't the promoters from Marshfield. Somebody rented the track and put on a race and promised X number of dollars, and there were probably like 75 people in the stands. I mean, there was nobody there. And after the races were over, he called all the drivers into this building in the pits, and I knew exactly what was going on. He was telling them he didn't have the money to pay him, and that's
Did he
exactly
make
what
it out alive?
he made it out alive.
Well, now let's turn the page, right? And I was guilty of this, and so are other racers. And this is why I just laugh at this whole situation. I don't mean laugh or whatever, but it's just I just shake my head, right? Because I know how racers are. I was one for the better part of my life, right? Parts trucks at the racetrack, and Changa knows this as well as I do, right? And if you've ever been a vendor at a racetrack, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you're a racer and you've been doing it for a long time, I promise you sure the hell know of this, right? So the racers and everybody gets critical of, oh, the promoter didn't pay I can't believe the promoter didn't pay the purse. I can't believe it. Can't believe it. How could they possibly do that, right? Okay. Do you have any idea how many drivers have gone to the parts truck at the racetracks and be like, man, I tore some stuff up. I need a radiator and I need a lower A-frame and I need a wheel and a tire and a shock. And they're like, okay, that's going to be X amount. Well, I don't have it right now. Can you just write it down for me? Can I get you later? Right. And for years, vendors were like, Jim, you've been racing. I know you. You're good for it. You'll take care of it. And pretty soon, these parts trucks are like, holy shit, I'm 50, 60, 70, $80,000 in my accounts receivable that I got to collect from all these drivers. And they're literally walking around trying to collect every single night. And at the end of the year, they're trying to collect. And they're like, holy balls. And these people are owing money for years to come. I was that guy. That's how I raced. I didn't have any money. So I'm like, I'm going to figure out all the different places that'll let me charge and not charge me interest, right? Because I didn't have a credit card, couldn't get one, right? It
That and
was,
rubber checks.
yeah, rough. I didn't bounce them, but there was no money in the one I wrote them. I sure they all hope that there was on Monday, right? But the fact is, this has just been, it's such an addictive sport where racers they'll just charge and I'll pay you later. And, their buddy's selling a motor. Hey, can I just get it? I'll pay part of it now and I'll get you later. And they never pay them. And then all of a sudden they're mad at a promoter that didn't pay because things didn't work out. It's like, really? Look in a mirror, right? I mean, and some of the people that are the loudest that I've seen on social media, I'm just saying, right? They've been on both sides of this deal, some of these people, including me. So that's why I haven't been chirping about it, because it's like I was that guy that when I quit racing, I owed a lot of people a lot of money, and I finally squared up. But it's like, good grief, like how long can you just let this go on? And so it doesn't matter if it's the promoter, it doesn't matter if it's the racer, it doesn't matter if it's the car owner. It's a whole number of people. It's just the whole ecosystem of racing. That's just the sad world and sad reality of it. Bert?
Well, it's not just the drivers and stuff. The one I referenced in Marshfield. Again, I want to point out this wasn't the Marshfield people. It wasn't the people who run the Marshfield track. Somebody rented the track from them for this event, but he put together a program and he asked me to write some articles and told me I told him I get X amount per article and he agreed to that and I didn't get all my money.
Congratulations, Bert. You're part of the racing ecosystem as well. Congratulations. Yeah. So, speaking of the competitive ecosystem, right? Racing is a pretty emotional sport, right? I mean, I don't know how many times Changa saw me bounce my steering wheel off the ground, throw my gloves, bounce my helmet, throw a jack stand. Probably more time. I'm glad it wasn't all on film. Let's just put it that way, because I may have had a few moments. But we see it all the time, right? Somebody gets wrecked and they're flipping people off and screaming and hollering and fighting and yelling and literally, and you're looking at it and go, man, that person's kind of embarrassing themselves, right? And then the number one sports spectacle in the world was this last weekend, the Minnesota State High School Hockey Tournament. And, I know multiple people on the Hibbing Chisholm team, and they had a great run, right? They won in Pee-wees and Bantams, and they got themselves back-to-back years to the state tournament. And Bert, they're down 3 goals, right? And they come back and they tie it up, and they take the lead late and give up a goal with under a minute to go to tie it up, losing overtime. And a few of them lost their minds, right? They smacked their stick against the glass. One of them did and broke the glass. Didn't mean to break the glass, clearly. I mean, Changa, you've been around hockey. We've seen people smack the glass with their stick out of disgust. Usually the glass doesn't break. If the glass didn't break, then it was like, well, whatever. He was mad. He hit the glass. It happens. People do it all the time. I've seen goalies break their sticks over the net when they let in the game winner, or I've seen people smash their sticks on the ice and break it. I mean, emotions run wild. When you're in a competitive environment, emotions run wild. So we had a pretty big debate on our text feed about this, and some of the people are like, I can't believe they embarrassed the city. I can't believe they embarrassed their town and their families, and they were throwing their medals. In emotional sports like racing and hockey and all these different things, some things are ruled as just the emotion of the game. They have to let their emotions out. They gotta get it out. And then other people view it as, well, it's childish and they should know better. Well, they are kids, 15-year-old, 16, 17-year-old kid. They are kids, right? Your thoughts on this whole deal, Changa?
I don't have any.
You don't get an opinion because you're a freaking Wisconsin guy, so you don't get an opinion.
Not true.
Bert, me and him were bantering back and forth on this. He's like, oh man, I think it was uncalled for. And I get it. There's a side to people are like, oh, poor sportsmanship, right? And the other side of things is like, well, holy shit, right? Like it's an emotional game. So when you see something, and we can transition that to racing, right?
There's a fine line. There's a fine line between
it's
where
huge.
does that fine line happen to where you're making a freaking ass of yourself and the people that you represent, your parents, your school, your community. What's the fine line? And like you said, you break the glass, you look like a freaking idiot, right? Now, the intent wasn't to break the glass. I
No.
get that. But the fact of the matter is, it happened, and boy, you look like a jackass, right?
Right.
It is what it is. Now, I don't have a problem with shaking the guy's hand, taking your, second place medal, and walking away and taking it off. Now, if you're chucking them in the stands and throwing them over here, you just look like a baby. I mean, it is what it is. There is an aspect in team sports that you're taught from the time you're a little kid of, winning and losing with grace and composure and things. And now I get it. I mean, we're all emotional beings, and hey, I ain't the model for either side probably, but I've probably had good moments and bad, just like you have. And I don't know, most years were just bad, but no, you hear where I'm coming from. It's just unfortunate that had to happen. I don't know. I mean, I always, when you're representing a school or a family or a group of people, I feel like you have an obligation to have some self control with your behavior. Is all.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
I,
go ahead,
I
Bert.
mean, I didn't see it, so I don't know exactly what happened. Um, I mean, I agree with Changa, but it it depends. I mean, if it's a spur of the moment thing and you take your hockey stick and slam it, slam the ice. I mean, that's just. I mean, that's emotions, whatever. Now, if you do that for 30 seconds,
Right.
that's a tantrum.
Now, keep in mind, you break
Well,
the
Bert.
$300 stick that your dad bought you.
Yeah.
That's disrespectful to dad, right?
So Bert, you're a sports guy, right? So you think about the emotions. You played your whole life, right? You literally played your whole life, and if you played hockey, it's a
For this moment.
commitment. It's a big commitment, right? Minnesota State high school hockey tournament, biggest tournament in youth sports, in my opinion, right? Some would say Little League World Series. I'm going Minnesota State high school hockey tournament. Okay. Now the fact of the matter is, you won it at multiple different levels already. You get to that pinnacle, and for some people, this is the final time they'll ever strap on the skates in a competitive environment, right? They might not play juniors or they might not play, whatever they have at the Blizzard,
College.
whatever that's called, or college. They're done. Some of them people are done. That's it. That's the last time they're going to play. You're down 3 goals, and the emotional roller coaster of bam, we tied it up. Oh my God, we took the lead. It's under a minute. We're going to be state champions. Bam, they let in a tying goal under a minute, and then they're on the gas, right? They're straight offense. That team, they were straight offense, and they had chances, and they lose in overtime after taking the lead. The instant reaction to that is your world just came to an end. I mean, it is crashing to a halt. I'm a firm believer that in that scenario, the second place team, there's no. I mean, I get it. Yeah, this tradition, second place teams on there, they get their second place medals and blah blah blah. The last place that the second place team wants to be in that situation is anywhere near the ice. It is absolutely mind-boggling to me that they're even on the ice. Shake hands, let them go back to the locker room. If you want them to come back out, and you award the second place or whatever, do that after you award the winners so they don't have to sit and frickin' watch the winners get their awards, right? And if you want to bring them back out, that give them 10 minutes to go in the locker room and bust something and scream and holler and cry and do whatever they're going to do, and then get them back out on the ice. But
Well,
it's like a racing deal, Bert, and I'm going to let you add to that. Somebody gets run over, and then they put a mic in their face, right? Like immediately, and then all of a sudden they say something stupid, and you're like, "Oh, I can't believe that person said that." What? Well, that's literally why they put the mic in their face. They were hoping they were going to say something, right? That's why they did it. The emotion is there. People they lose control in that moment, and they did not even get. I mean, it's like we just lost the state championship in a dramatic fashion. By the way, stay out here, and I want you to keep your composure for the next half hour of award ceremonies. Are you kidding me?
I partly agree with you. I mean, I agree
Well, we'll end
that
right there. Oh, just kidding.
no, I agree that you lose a tough game. Yeah, your emotions are going to come out. Excuse me. And the last place you want to be is on that on that second place line. But if you're willing to accept the accolades and the glory of winning, if you win, you have to accept being going through whatever process there is for the second place team if you don't win.
Only pro sports, right? And I get the same pro, but pros should hold their composure better than high school people because they're paid, right? How many Super Bowls have you seen where the second place team's going to go out there and they get their second place, your second best
Well, no,
team in the
I
NFL?
understand.
It's just stupid.
Only
It's
hockey.
like,
Hockey's
yeah,
the only one where the hockey, the Stanley Cup Finals, when it's all said and done, the
I
teams
mean,
still skate across and shake hands. It's the
I
only
mean,
one.
but do they stay out there for the award ceremony or do they go back to the locker room?
Wow, there isn't an award ceremony.
Correct.
There is.
well,
It's for the guy that won.
Yeah.
let's go to the Olympics with the hockey team. I specifically remember the
Yeah.
announcers stating, Team Canada, this is not where they wanted to be as they're handing out the medals to each of
Right.
them, and
Right.
they didn't want to be there, but that's part of the process. That's just the way it is. I
It
mean,
is, but they're
if
also paid professionals compared to 15,
well,
16, 17-year-old kids. Totally different deal. Totally
yeah,
different deal. Right.
well,
So
so soon they'll be getting paid too. So
some of them hopefully, but yeah, but I guess I die on the hill of it's an emotional game. I don't.
I mean,
Yeah.
I can agree. Maybe give them 5-10 minutes to go in the locker room, cool off, and then do the award ceremony
For
after
Christ's
that.
sake, they
Yeah.
give them 5 minutes just to cry. Then they give them another 20 minutes of doing the all tournament team and the handshake. I mean, Chris, they've been
On
out
the
there half
ice.
an hour before they even get their second place medals.
Right, but they're literally sitting there in front of 20,000 people.
Sure.
Though it's like get them off the ice. But yeah, tough break. I mean, but they did a hell of a job getting to where they were. I mean, they put the tournament. Bert, you probably didn't watch it because you're a Wisconsin guy, but I'm telling you, both. I mean, that was an awesome tournament. I mean, Class A went to overtime. It was double overtime for Double A, right? So for the final. So I mean, it was pretty spectacular. But hats off to for the Hibbing Chisholm team. How about a shout out here? East Central Sports, your number one source for pit bikes, kids ATVs, golf carts, Toro lawnmowers, and a whole lot more cool kid stuff. Located just north of the Twin Cities off I-35, Rush City, Minnesota. I got a golf cart coming from Mac over there. Great inventory. He's got a lot of stuff. You got a kid, you want to spoil them, head over to East Central Sports. Let them know you heard about let them know you heard about them from the One to Go show for $100 discount. And you can check them out by calling them at 320-358-1994 or check them out online at www.eastcentralsports.com. We got a little fan feedback, boys. Did you guys get the email from Puka he sent over?
Yes.
Kind of a cool deal.
I don't know that I did.
So Mark Stahl from over in Pennsylvania, shout out to Mark, part-time announcer over at the Path Valley Speedway, said doesn't miss a show. Actually, great job, boys. He says I always feel a little sad when you guys skip a week, so I'll take the blame for last week. Sorry about that, but hey, thanks for the support. Really appreciate it. Glad to have some fans over there in PA. But we talked about multiple times, I guess we talked about that for a local program to be good, you need to have X amount of drivers, within a certain mile radius, right? If your track has to rely on drivers from 50, 75, 100 miles away to fill out your field, you're probably going to have a problem. And you're really going to have a problem in the grandstands because the fans don't travel anymore. But if you're right there in town, they're going to travel. So I don't have all the data. I am going to get it from him. I'm going to talk to him. But, he actually he said, I got really bored and I took some data and he took every single Minnesota track, right? And I don't know if he did all of Minnesota, but for sure Minnesota tracks. And he took all the different classes, all the tracks, and he wrote down how many drivers were in each class from within 25 miles of the track, from 25 to 50. And it's pretty cool. Just an example here. Arlington Midwest Mods won within 25 miles of the track. One. Okay. Bemidji Changa, B mods, Midwest Mods. How many Midwest Mods live? How many drivers that race Midwest Mods are from within 25 miles of the track?
5.
According to his data, 21.
Wow.
That's incredible. I'm like, wow, that's a big number. So I'm interested to get the rest of the data and kind of look through that, because I feel like the tracks that have the most drivers, right, within a 25-mile radius probably also have the biggest crowds. That would just be my guess. I'd be curious to see that, because
You would think, yeah.
yeah. So that begs the question, right? That's people are, and I like all the classes. I mean, I've seen great racing in all the classes, right? But I think there needs to be a big focus on knowing your demographic, knowing what the economy is like, and having at least a couple options there that people that live within 25 miles of the track can actually afford to race. Because if you can get a full field in 2 classes of a whole bunch of local people, I think you're going to be onto something. And that's like Grand Rapids, for example. They got that Renegade sprint car class, and I don't have the numbers for that in front of me. I will have that. I'm curious to see. They got a pile of those drivers within 25 miles of Grand Rapids that run the Renegades. Well, guess what? The nights they have the Renegades, they have more fans. Why? Because local drivers bring in local fans. It has nothing to do with the class, okay? People are like, oh, it's a late model class. It's not, right? Hibbing, they're like, oh, Hibbing's a late model track. You got it. Well, Hibbing kind of is. It kind of is. Why? Because there's a bunch of late model guys in Hibbing within 25 miles of the track. And you look at, your Vessel, Peterlin, Wallers, you look at those drivers, they're all from right there. So, of course, they bring in more people because they're local. So, a pretty cool deal. Thanks, Mark, for that. I'm going to look into that a little bit more. We'll have some more data coming up on that. Pretty interested to see. How about a shout out here? Fastlane Motorsports and Powder Coating for all things racing. Check out the group up there in Ashland, Wisconsin. Proud sponsor of the #1 series in WISSOTA Racing, the Northland Superstock Series. They build the Galloper chassis. They do custom powder coating, fabricating, sandblasting. They can get any part you need. They service a lot of racetracks. Chris, Tammy, and the gang, awesome people up there in Ashland, Wisconsin. They've helped numerous drivers, series, tracks. I mean, they've really been heavily invested into racing. I just want to thank them guys a lot. So that's Fastlane Motorsports and Powder Coating up in Ashland, Wisconsin. All right, boys, contest time. Bert's at 1, Chonga's at 1, Bullseye or BS. The topic, Tyler Reddick. Okay. He didn't win this last week, but he won the first 3 NASCAR races. Okay. So I'm going to give a handful of stats here, and you each got to pick which one is complete BS. Okay. All right. So Tyler Reddick, originally from Corning, California, 2 hours north of Sacramento. He was the youngest driver to win a World of Outlaw race at age 15. Youngest driver to win a World of Outlaw late model race at the age of 15. He was the youngest driver to qualify for the pole position at the World 100. His last late model race that he competed in on dirt was 2016, the Show Me 100 at the Lucas Oil Speedway in Wheatland. In 2011, he was the Lucas Oil Dirt Late Model Series National Rookie of the Year. In 2014 at Highland, he scored a Hell Tour win. Sheppy got second, Squirrel got third. And at age 16, he got his first NASCAR start in the K&N East Series at Rockingham, and he won his very first race. in his very first NASCAR race on pavement. Which one is BS? Na, 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 na,
No,
na, 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 na,
What was
na, na,
what was
na,
the
na.
what was the last one again?
At age 16, he won his first ever NASCAR start in the K&N East series at Rockingham. Are you ready?
sure.
You need me to repeat it one more time, or you got it?
I don't even know.
No, I got it.
All right, Changa, you go first this time.
I'm gonna say the BS was that he was the youngest person on the pole at the World 100.
Okay.
I'm
Bert,
going with A, that he won World of Outlaw race when he was 15.
he was in fact the youngest to sit on the pole at the World 100. He was the youngest to win a Lucas Oil race, not the World of Outlaws. So Bert got that correct. So I switched up that. So he was the youngest to ever win. He was 15 years old. He won at East Bay. So Tyler Reddick better than RTJ. He won at 15. RTJ number one at East Bay. Just saying. So youngest. So yeah, Tyler Reddick, youngest driver to ever win a Lucas Oil Dirt Late Model race. He did it at 15 years old at East Bay. Youngest to be on the pole at the World 100. 2011 Lucas Rookie of the Year. He has one career Hell Tour win. It was at Highland. Hell of a driver. Kind of a pretty cool career. And kind of fun to see a dirt guy go 3 for 3 to start the season in NASCAR. So our pick'ems here.
This is the BS, is the pick'ems.
Oh, you did good, Bert. You got a point. You didn't even get last. You got one. So
Yeah, Coach didn't pick any races.
that's why you won. You got 0. You got 1. So I finally won a week. Finally, which that hasn't happened all year till now. I
Thought we
cracked the
tied.
top.
When did you win?
Oh, wait a second. I didn't win this week. I won the week before, and we didn't do a show. So I won the week before. Who the hell won this week? It was actually
Someone with that. Whoever picked JD
God
3
dang,
or
it was
4 times.
Bromance. You know what? You're right. Donkey award to my dumbass because I'm a week out. We didn't do a show. So I won the previous week. I didn't win this week. It was I know one of them for sure was Bromance. And I think the other one
I think the other one was our
was it
two-time champion.
Rain Man?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it was. They both had 7. We both had 4. So you're right. So our points though, Tardy's still got the lead at 125. JR got the lead. Changa, you're only 5 behind him now at 120. Dano's at 118. Governor Walls, 110. Hey, shout out to Haley's Comet, his youngest daughter, state champion there in under 18 bowling. Pretty cool. Congrats to Haley's Comet. And I'm in 5th at 107. Mudflap and Uper at 106. Bert at 105. Bromance 102, Rainman 92, Worker Bee and Man Bun Dan at 85, Beefcake 75, Coach at 73, which Cue Ball's going to pass him up because Coach is just, we don't know if he's going to pick week to week. I don't know what his story is. So you can't run into a tire on the racetrack if you don't start the race. So there is that. So, all right, let's get into the bold predictions here to close this thing out. We had a few
You
come
want to
off
do
the
this
board.
week's picks or no?
Yeah. Thanks for that. Why don't you go ahead? What are we? Did you see that Brownstown canceled?
I did, yes.
So the Northern All Stars race Saturday at Brownstown is. They don't have a date yet.
We're not picking that anymore.
We are not picking that. We are not. I was going to pick Rice Baby.
If I would have had confirmation he was going to been there, I would have picked him too. Otherwise, I was going to go with Gilpin.
You were going to go with Gilpin?
Yep.
Bert, who are you going to pick for that? Jason Jameson to be different or what?
I don't know. I didn't get that far yet.
Well, you don't need to now. You don't need to now. All right. So what are we picking this week there, Changa?
All right. We are picking the 33rd Annual Spring Nationals at Beatrice Speedway in Beatrice, Nebraska. We're picking mods and stock cars Friday and Saturday. We are picking World of Outlaw sprint cars, the Texas Two Step at Kennedale Speedway Park in Texas, Friday and Saturday. We are picking for the first time this year the high limit sprints. It's the Sugar Bee Blackjack Bash at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway in Las Vegas, Nevada, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We're picking World of Outlaw late models at Volunteer Speedway, Bulls Gap, Tennessee, and Maryville, Tennessee, Smoky Mountain Speedway.
I got to be honest. I wish the Vegas high limit race would have coincided with when I went to Vegas. That would have been kind of cool. Just saying, poor planning there on our CEO. What are you most looking forward to in that deal?
I'm most looking forward to the high limit sprints. It's been a long time here all through this speed weeks, and we haven't got to see many of them guys. It'll be interesting being in Vegas. If any of our NASCAR guys decide to join the party, if Brad Sweet tries to join the party. So, none of them. And Tyler Courtney ran a couple. A few of them ran back in Australia, and Christ, that was December probably, So we haven't seen them in a while. So a fresh season. Be interesting to see who comes out of the gate fast.
100%. Bert?
I'll agree with Changa actually. There's been a lot of late model racing lately, so high limit is something different, and with NASCAR also being out there, that adds a little extra.
Yeah, I'm probably out of everything. I'm probably looking forward to Smoky Mountain. Because that track's kind of a wild card. It gets kind of dirty, but it races pretty good. Bulls Gap is interesting. It's got really high banks, but I would say probably Smoky Mountain I'm looking forward to. So let's roll into our bold predictions here. So Bert, you had three. Now we didn't do any last week. We didn't do a show, but this couple weeks back, you said RTJ was going to win at least one at Ocala. He did not. You said that Hot Rod Snellenberger would get two podiums on the Friday Saturday deal, and did not. At least that's how Uper has it written down. And then Nolan, what's his name? Is it Trent? What's his first name?
Trent.
Yeah, you said Trent Nolan would make both features and get at least one top 10 in the Clash that particular weekend, and he did. So you got that one correct. I had nothing come off the board according to Uper here this past week, and then Changa, you said David Gravel would have two podiums and a win at Volusia. And that did not happen. And then Uper said that Minnesota drivers would have more wins than Wisconsin drivers at the Clash on the coast, and that did not happen. But he said Dallin Murray and Snowdrift would combine to make 80% of the A mains at Ocala. And I didn't do the research, but he did, so he said that is correct. And he said that Andrea McCain would make two A mains at the Clash, and she did. Now, he sent his predictions in, guys, for last week, and you got to decide if we're going to give him credit for this. He sent them in, and we were going to do a show, and then just too much shit happened
because we didn't send in picks.
Yeah, so he said Donnie Schatz is going to get at least one win this year, and he sent that in last week.
You can send it in again this week.
Yeah. So
yeah, I can't tell when nobody else submitted.
We'll
picks.
give him kudos. We'll give him kudos is what 100%. We'll give him. But we won't give them the prediction because we didn't have predictions last week. But that's kind of a tough beat for him.
Yeah, that does suck. I feel bad. So, I feel really, really bad. You know what? I got one thing to say. Fuck you.
Ryan, do you realize what you just stated before, though? You said, I didn't do the research, but he did, and he said he got it correct. So, are we going by that?
Well, we should probably check that. We should probably double check. Yeah, that is probably accurate. But he can put that in the notes on his standings there that he might have one other that was correct, but we'll see how that plays.
That could be the tiebreaker if he ties for first.
Right. So we keep track of correct predictions and correct percentages. I'm leading with 5 correct. Uper and Bert have 4. Changa has 2. Um, Percentages, I'm at 50%. Bert's at 30.8. Uper at 23.5, and Changa down at 13.3. So we're going to make 3 bold predictions to close this one out. Then Bert can go to bed. So, Bert, we'll start with you. We'll go to Changa. I got Upers, and then I got my own. What do you got?
All right, I'm going World of Outlaw late models, and however many shows they run this week, depending on weather or whatever, Nick Hoffman will have a better average finish than Bobby Pierce.
Okay. Nick Hoffman, better average finish this week than Bobby Pierce. All right. Changa.
I'm going to go with something you talked about earlier because it was on my mind too. I'm going to say Trey Mills will win a national touring race this year.
What's
Ray
the
Mills.
national touring?
That's a
Doesn't
good
matter. It's either
question.
going to be Lucas or Wu. It's going to be one of the national.
Okay.
Well,
all right.
so not Hunt the
Okay.
Front, not Hell
Nah,
Tour.
we don't consider Hunt the Front.
Okay.
A
So
national.
either a
Okay.
World of Outlaws or a
Or
Lucas
Lucas.
race.
No.
Okay. That's bold. That's bold. Uper. Jimmy Owens is making his debut in the Vic Hill number 20 this weekend at Bulls Gap and at Smoky Mountain. Jimmy Owens will make both features, and he'll finish in the top 5 at least one of the 2 nights. Both races have to happen for it to count.
Do you know what kind of chassis that is?
I don't.
What I read today is the CDR late model.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. No kidding. Cade Dillard. Interesting. I did not know that.
He doesn't even run CDR late models.
No, he does not. Incidentally, Hedgecock might be back in his own car because he lost his ride. So, I'm gonna go Bulls Gap. I'm gonna go Bulls Gap. I'm gonna go to Volunteer Speedway this weekend. At least 2. You know what? I'm gonna up the ante here. That way I don't call it a bunt. At least 3 of the top 5 non-Woo regulars. At least 3 of the top 5 this weekend at Bulls Gap, non-Woo regulars. All right, Bert, your second one.
I'm gonna go World of Outlaw sprint cars. Donnie Schatz will have at least 3 victories this year.
Tonight me. That was going to be my next one.
Were you gonna say
have to go to 4 now?
Were you gonna say 3?
Yeah, I might have to go. Yeah, I was gonna say 3. That was gonna be my number. I had yeah. All right. At least 3, counting the one that he already has, so he'll finish with at least
3. Yeah,
so
counting the one he already. So he'll win at least 2 more this year.
Okay. At least 2 more wins for Donnie Schatz this year. All right. Changa?
I'm going to go World of Outlaw late models, and I'm going to say the combination of Hudson O'Neal and Ricky Thornton Jr. has a better average finish in all of the World of Outlaw races that happened this weekend than Pearson Hoffman.
RTJ a better average finish than both.
Huddy and RTJ combined.
Huddy and RTJ. Okay.
Better than Pearson Hoffman.
Okay. Huddy RTJ better than Pearson Hoffman. All right. So the Lucas guys over the World of Outlaw guys. Uper's second one. Smooth operator Bobby Pierce. 0 podiums this week. And at least one of the nights, he's going to have to run the B main to get in. Now, if he doesn't run the B main and he skips it and gets in on a provisional, that would also count. But at least one of the nights, he will not transfer in by the heat, and he'll have 0 podiums this week. All right. High limits at Vegas. And man, it's kind of a wild card because we don't know necessarily who is going to be there. Is Day going to be there? Is Larson?
I know who's going to be there.
Christopher
I talked to all
Bell
of them already.
Okay. Rico Abreu will have this is all 3 nights have to happen for this to count. Okay. Rico Abreu will have at least one win, at least 2 podiums in the 3 nights. At least one win, at least 2 podiums in the 3 nights at Vegas for Rico. All right, Bert.
All right, I'm going Beatrice. I'm going to say for the IMSA stock cars and IMSA mods, there will be at least one Wisconsin driver in the one Wisconsin driver will get at least the top 10 in both of those divisions between all the races.
So there's 2 nights. So just mods and lates, not sport mods and any of that.
Mods and stock cars.
Mods and stock cars.
Mods and stock cars. Yeah, okay. So mods and stock cars between whatever, how many features they run. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not even sure who's all going down there, but
okay.
So only a total of 2, one in each class.
Yes.
Maximum of 2.
Oh, well, no, at least
2.
At least. Yes.
At least 2. Okay. All right. Chonga, your third and final one.
Oh, goodness gracious. I'm going to go. God, I got to go opposite of frickin' Uper just because it's my job, right? I'm going to.
Well, yeah.
I mean, it's kind of I have to do that, don't I? So, all right, I'm going to go. I'll go with the smooth operator. He will make both features out of the heat race, and we'll have at least one podium.
Okay. Repeat that one more time.
Pierce makes both features out of the heat race. Doesn't have to run any Bs or take any provisionals.
And at least one podium.
Yes.
Okay. I got to change my second one, if I may, because I didn't pay attention to what I wrote down for Upers, and it's too close to him, and I don't want to pull a dick move and kind of take his. So I'm going to change from Rico to Reitzel. Same thing, at least 2 podiums, at least one win for Aaron Reitzel. Because Uper's third one is Rico Abreu in his TSR debut. If all 3 races race, at least 3 top 10s, at least 2 podiums, at least one win. So all top 10, all 3 nights, at least 2 podiums, at least one win. If 2 happen, 2 podiums and one win. So I didn't want to snipe that because I have it in front of me and didn't pay attention. So I'll change my second one to Reitzel, at least 2 podiums, at least one win for Aaron Reitzel. Okay. My third one, though, I'm going to go World of Outlaw sprint car racing. A guy that's kind of been a little bit on the snide. Bill Balog had a good year last year. He's kind of on the struggle bus, right? Bill Balog will have at least one top 5 this weekend. Both races have to happen for it to count, okay? But Bill Balog will have at least one top 5 this weekend in World of Outlaw action. All right, there we go, boys. Bert, we'll let you get to bed. Thanks for being a trooper. You two, always fun talking racing. This one's in the books. Hopefully everybody enjoyed it, and we'll see y'all next week. Thanks for tuning in to the One to Go Show.